Hello and welcome to A Lovely Time, a podcast where we speak to comedians about what constitutes a perfect day. I'm Amy Gledhill and my idea of a lovely time is recording a podcast in person and not over Zoom. No lag. Not a bit of lag. And I'm in my pyjamas, so there's no video, but no lag is the main thing. My guest today is a comedian, actor and bona fide legend. It's Nick effing Helm. And today's episode is the final one of the current series. Don't be sad, don't you dare be sad. We'll have a little break and then be back with you very soon. So let's have a bloody lovely time then, shall we? Hello, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm guten Tag. That's two separate thoughts. I'm not guten Tag. I am good morning.
Good. That sounds good. So you're doing all right?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
Sorry, how are you?
Oh, very good. Maybe you're the first one to ask.
Well, you're interviewing comedians, yes?
Yeah. I know. I know. I'm all right. It's early in the morning.
Well, you sound fresh in a way.
Do I?
Yes, absolutely. I've got to say, it's the first interview I've had where someone's been asking me questions whilst wiping sleep out of their eyes. But I shall be professional enough for both of us.
Oh, thanks, Nick. That's very good of you. You, of course, have got dressed. You look in normal attire.
Well, my secret is I slept in my clothes, but all I did was I just popped on a pair of socks to give the impression I was getting dressed. But in actual fact, I was dressed yesterday.
That is a very good tip. Are you dressed 24/7, always ready to go? I guess.
Well, in real life,
Yeah.
in general, am I dressed all the time?
En general, yeah.
Well, these are sort of like I was going to say bedclothes, but that sounds like one step away from, I get a person over to mop me, to like lift folds and sponge me down, and I haven't been allowed to let her in because of COVID, so I don't want to give that impression. That
So your folds are unmopped.
yes, yes, I generally have a little woman or man that comes in to mop me down. That's not no. I'm wearing pajamas.
They look like clothes, so you've done very well there.
Well, my secret is that anything can be a pajama.
Yeah, and anything can be a clothes.
That's not true.
Oh.
That's not true. Pajamas can't be clothes.
Well, I do disagree because I've got some pyjama trousers. Pyjama bottoms, I guess you'd call them.
Well, it depends where you are, doesn't it? So where do you wear these pyjama bottoms?
I've worn them on stage.
Yeah.
I've worn them just out. They're really nice. They're like grey leopard print baggy trousers.
Yeah.
So, let's paint a picture of your lovely time.
Right.
So, you can be anywhere, doing anything. There's no budget considerations. There's no time considerations. You can do what the F you bloody effing well want.
And there's not meant to be any prep work for this.
There's no prep work for this. It's just...
It's literally just
Yeah.
sort of, okay, Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say, I mean, I thought about this, and I would say I've had 2 perfect days,
Yeah.
which is so sort of like amazing and perfect. You kind of maybe you get about 3/4 halfway through the day, 3/4 through the day, and you go, you look at the other people that you're with, and you kind of like silently acknowledge the fact that this day is the best day you've ever had, and it's sort of like bittersweet because you know that the day is drawing to a close, and it will be over at some point. But it's and you know that, but you know how rare it is, and it sort of like encourages you to just enjoy every moment of that day, because you don't know when your next perfect day is going to come along, and you know, one of them was I won a South Bank award, which is a thing that you get like you vote for. So I won. It's a public vote. So I won this South Bank award, which is like it was a breakthrough award. So I think it was 2013, maybe it's 2014. I'd won this breakthrough award, and the public had voted. But I think what that really means is that I had tweeted it, and I had more followers than anyone else. Yeah, and they voted. That's what I think, and that's what happened. So so this is because this sounds like a humble brag, and I don't want to do that, but it's really rare to sort of like have one of those moments that feels kind of like it wasn't an industry award. It wasn't part of comedy.
Yeah.
So there weren't a bunch of other comedians that felt like you were taking something away from them.
Yes.
It was just sort of like it felt like I was up against like artists and dancers and actors, and I was the comedy representative.
Yeah.
And in terms of, I'd just done Uncle and Heavy Entertainment. I'd had like I'd been nominated for an Edinburgh Award. Like I'd had like a lot of big stuff that had happened. I'd done a radio show, and so a lot of stuff had happened in a very short amount of time, and it sort of like culminated in me winning this award. So it was a daytime award, and I took my mum, and we went.
Another shout out for Jean.
Another shout out for Jean, and I think it's a real. I think if you can sort of, if you get to like adulthood and you've still got your parents, and you have a moment to sort of like thank them or pay them back, and they have maybe a moment to see you doing well, and they you it's kind of like it was just sort of like a very it turned out that it was like a very important event. At the time it was just like, oh, I'll take my mum because Melvyn Bragg will be there, and I knew that she'd always had a crush on Melvyn Bragg. So we sit at this table, and we know I'm not going to win. So we drink, like, my mum's not a big drinker either, but we sat down and we drink this, like a bottle and a half of wine. And it's the middle of the day, we're both a bit drunk. We sat at this big table with all of the other nominees for that section. And everyone's nice. Everyone's getting on very well. But me and my mum are just sort of like drunk and just not hammered, but like tipsy. And we're just chatting to each other. And even to this day, we still remember the white asparagus starter. Which, so it was a 3-course meal, and then they do the awards. And we're eating, and the food is all great, but these fucking asparaguses, they're asparagi. They're white and cold, and they're asparagus, and they were just absolutely delicious, and everything's great. And Bridget Christie and Stuart Lee are sat at the next table, and my mum is a fucking huge fan of both of them. Especially Stuart Lee, who we grew up with in our household. And then she'd been to see, Bridget Christie loads, and they're at the next table, and they're sort of like very like nice and stuff, and then they do the awards, and then they read my name out, and then I've got to get up and receive an award, and I'm hammered.
Oh my God.
And it's being televised.
Oh my God.
And I get up, and I Stephen Mangham gives me the award.
Wow.
But I have got to say that none of my memories about this being a lovely time. It was great that I won the award, but it was great that I won the award because my mum was there.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have mattered either way had I just been there on my own or whatever. Because part of what made it great was that I genuinely wasn't expecting to win, So because I wasn't expecting to win, if I hadn't won, it wouldn't have mattered. But I had won, And I bumped into people in the lobby that didn't sort of say hello to me and stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. And not that everything's got to be tinged with bitterness, but you kind of go, I'm a piece of shit. Why? I'm lucky to be here. I haven't even dressed nice, And
in pyjama bottoms, Crocs.
Pyjama bottoms covered in what I am assuming is human feces. And so we're sort of so anyway, so they call out my name, and I'm like, oh my God, and I go, and my mum is just like, oh my God, and she's instantly starts crying. And Bridget Christie leaps up, and so I punch her to the ground, and I say, no, it's my name that they shout. No, Bridget Christie leaps up and hugs my mum, and I think Stuart Lee gave my mum a hug, but I can't see because it's in my rear view mirror because I'm on my way up to the stage. And my mum is like, not only is my son, the coolest guy in town, but I'm in a Stuart Lee Bridget Christie sandwich right now, and so I accept, as I'm accepting the award, this person heckles, and I slam them. I'm just I go into comedy mode, and I give them. It turns out it's Lenny Henry's girlfriend, right? And then I come off stage and I get interviewed, and the whole process is 45 minutes, where my mum's on her own in the dining room, and I'm going through all the press stuff, and I come back out, and she's been chatting to Bridget Christie and Stuart Lee, and so I get a photo of my mum with Stuart Lee, and then Melvyn Bragg walks by, and I get a photo with my mum and Melvyn Bragg.
Oh my God.
And then Lenny Henry walks by, and I get a photo of my mum and Lenny Henry. And it's like
she's been at Madame Tussauds.
Well, this is sort of her tick list of people that she would leave my dad for. And
shout out to Tony.
Shout out to Tony. And she's sort of there are these photos, and then she goes to the toilet, and in the toilet she meets Twiggy as they're washing their hands. And Twiggy was obviously a model when my mum was a kid. Yeah. And my mum's just come out and just said, I just talked to Twiggy, and she's totally overwhelmed. And then she gets a bit cocksure and goes, that's Tracy Emin. I'm like, don't go up to Tracy Emin. Leave Tracy Emin alone. Tracy Emin walks by, and everyone's very impressed that Tracy Emin's there, but it's give her a wide berth. And and then Felicity Montague comes over and starts saying that she's a massive fan of Uncle. And you go,
oh my God.
And you go, that's mental. And then
and that's Lynn from Alan Partridge.
And then Lynn from Alan Partridge starts telling my mum.
Oh my God. It's like a dream.
It was honestly, it was but it's the fact that my mum is there, and all of this stuff is sort of, I've won this award, and I'm sort of taking it. It wasn't my first award, but it was the award was designed. Oh God, what's the name of the guy? He designed the Sgt. Pepper album cover. So I've got this thing, and my mum's there, and it's kind of earlier on in the day, we talked to my dad, who's back in St Albans, and we're in London, and we're like, are you going to come into town? And he goes, no, I'm not going to bother. I'll just let me know how it goes. And then I've won, and this event is coming to an end, and it's still daylight, and we phone my dad and say, we've won, do you want to come in? And he goes, all right. And we phone my sister and her partner, now her husband, Martin, and say, "Do you want to come in?" And they say yes. And my girlfriend at the time, and we all go out for dinner, where we've got 2-for-1 vouchers at Loch Fyne Fish Restaurant.
Nice.
So we've got like these vouchers. We all sit down, and as a family, we sort of argue a lot, and it's always very sort of stressful. Can be quite a stressful thing, you know. There's like a clash of personality. We work in groups, but when we're all together, it's kind of difficult. And we all meet up, and we all get on, and no one argues, and it's just sort of like this. We all sat down as a family in this.
Oh my God.
In like a family favourite restaurant, and and you just go. We look back on it, and you just go. We had that day. It was just absolutely. It was like a lovely bonding experience with me and my mum, because I was a teenage boy, and I didn't want to hang out with my family.
Yeah.
And now I'm older, I really appreciate my family, and especially after all of this shit that's happened, and the pandemic. So you just remember that, and you go, that day was like the fact that my mum was washing her hands and looked up, and she was stood next to Twiggy. You just, you can't put a value on that.
No.
And it was my mum. I guess it was my mum was having a lovely time. I was having a lovely time, and you just go, I will never. Yeah, I've only got amazing memories about all of that. And I'm grateful as well. There's so many sort of like industry events that are like that are sort of disposable, or something about comedy where you sort of downplay. Well, I think there's different sorts of people.
Yeah.
My instinct is to downplay every success because you're sort of embarrassed about the attention.
Yeah.
And then there's the other flip side, which is to overplay
Yeah.
any minor achievement
Yeah.
to the point that it's obnoxious. And and this was sort of like, it wasn't a comedy event, it was another event. So it was actually very sort of magical and special, and just kind of like, oh right, okay, this is an acknowledgement as an art form, and because of that, it was like there wasn't anyone shitting on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone was just like, oh, well done. And you go, yeah. Because,
it was a celebration rather than a competition.
Yeah, there was no competitiveness because no one else was up for that award.
Yeah.
No one else was up for that award in that category.
Yeah,
I was the stand-up representative. So there was, so everyone was felt like it was genuinely happy when they bump into you, and everyone. It was just, it was lovely. It was lovely. And then the other one was when I had tickets to an AC/DC concert, and it was a summer's day, and I had to organise like 4 or 5 different groups of people to all meet at this random pub on the way to Wembley, and all of these bits happened in stages. But I won't go into that really because it's a long story. But it's just, I don't know why I started it really. But it was just this thing where there was my friends from uni, there was my friends from a show that I'd just done. There was a random guy that I'd met in Brighton that was an AC/DC fan that was going to come along because I had a free ticket that was going to sell to him. But it meant that this stranger had to come with me and my friends to the concert, and he was like a wild card. It was like, is he going to kick off and be like an absolute dickhead or what? And he turned up and he was an absolute legend. And
he's still in touch.
Yeah, I mean, we're not
That's
not
nice.
like every week, but like we're in touch. He is a regular at my friend Jen's bar, pub down in Brighton, and that's how we met. We were sat next to each other in the pub talking about AC/DC, and then he overheard, and he chatted about, that one of his earliest memories was going to see AC/DC. He still had like the denim jacket that he'd written the date of he saw AC/DC in 1980 maybe. I think it was either the very beginning of Brian Johnson's career with AC/DC, or it was the end of Bon Scott's. But it was at some point in like 79, 80, and he had it like written in. I think he went to see Hammersmith, this little denim jacket, and when he turned up, he was wearing the denim jacket and a Brian Johnson flat cap, and it was just like, oh my god! And
How we lads?
And he go, oh we, get your titties out, get your titties out. Yeah, and so he came along, and he was just sort of like the social lube that you needed to get all of these different groups talking to each other. My friend David Trent, who's like, my best friend, one of my best friends, was there, and he never comes out, and it was like this.
Oh wow.
My friends from uni, and David, and my friend Rupert, and there's a whole group of us, and we get to Wembley, and there's a fuck up with the cars, and we all get there at different times, and we're cutting it so close. We stopped for a drink on the way, actually, and then we're cutting it close, and we're like getting in the queue, and then there was a mix up with the drinks, and someone only bought like one drink. And you go, we queued for 40 minutes, and there's five of us, and or 7 of us, I think, and it's sort of like, and you bought one drink, and it's like, I didn't think, and you're like, oh my god! And I've been organising this thing; it's all really stressful, so we end up having to re-queue and get all the drinks. We get all the drinks, and then we walk down Wembley, down the stairs at Wembley. It's outside, it's stadium, and we've missed the warm-up act, if there even was one, and then there's like seems to be like this gap in the crowd, and we all sort of like walk down the stairs and land in this gap.
Oh wow!
And there's enough of us to fill this gap.
Wow!
But it's a good gap. There's sort of like space around you. You're not like wedged in.
Yeah.
And just as we land, AC/DC come out, and then it's absolutely, the sun is setting.
Oh my god!
It's beautiful weather. We're with amazing people. It's the best concert I've ever seen. And then we go out for drinks and dinner afterwards, and it's like, but the whole thing, meeting up at a pub before we set off.
Yeah.
Just people slowly arriving, the surprise of meeting this guy from this pub that you don't know, and him turning out to be like a really brilliant guy that you've just met. Everyone left being like, in love with him, like, oh god, he's our new best friend, and just this like combination of all of these things. And then the band coming out and being brilliant, but also the concert being incredible, the weather being great, like all of these different things to come into it to make a lovely time. And just bringing it back, and been talking for an hour now, and good luck in the edit, and this is a long one, and and it was just all of these factors come together to make something that is just like this unforgettable moment. And while you're going through it, you go, this is a perfect day. While it's happening, you go, this is a perfect day.
Oh, it's really special if you can know while it's happening that's perfect. I think it's easy to look back, isn't it? But if you can appreciate it while you're going through it.
I think it's sort of sad to look back and go, that was my best day. Yeah. And I didn't even realise it.
Yeah.
So I think it's something, it's like if you can acknowledge it at the time, not like dwell on it, but like if you can acknowledge it, that something good is happening. It's it's very, very, and you don't get many of them. You know, in the grand scheme of things, you can have like a great, you have moments, but to have like, and also the thing is about the cars fucking up and the not getting enough drinks and all that stuff that sort of like impacted on the schedule and the timing of everything. Without that, other moments of the day wouldn't have been absolutely perfect. Like just standing in position and then the gig starting, you know,
like we're ready.
Yeah, it was like it happened for us.
Wow.
And then also kind of like, I'd bought the tickets, I'd organised it, and I'd orchestrated this, and also, so like I felt like there was on one level there was this element of pride that you'd organised.
You'd organised a perfect day.
it turned out that
Bloody
way.
hell, that's good.
And not everyone was AC/DC fans when we went, and they were when we left, you know. And it was like, yeah, it's brilliant.
So, Nick, let's create your lovely time. We've heard about fantastic times that you've had.
Well, they're the best real times.
Yeah, let's go.
There's only one other, and I won't go into that.
Well, I want to know now.
Oh no, it was just no. That's a very complicated one. But I would say that there are a handful of days when you look back and you go, that couldn't have gone better. There was no compromise.
Yeah.
And it is not like bullheaded determination that forced it into being a great time.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just something that's very easy and like a wedding, for instance, where there's so much planning and effort and organisation involved in making a wedding go perfectly that often it's not even for the people getting married.
Yeah.
It's normally for the guests. There's the bride and she wants to look great and have an amazing day, and then the groom, I mean, we've been watching a lot of Don't Tell the Bride.
Yeah.
And I think weddings mean different things to different people.
I think you're right. I think if you organise something too much, if you're the bride, but you've been organising the wedding, you're sort of like an events coordinator. And you don't want that. I think a perfect day is something where it's like effortless.
Well, it's a bit like organising a dinner party and then the doorbell rings and you haven't got changed yet. And you're like, oh, I'll just go up and get changed.
Yeah.
And the vision of someone in a wedding dress is very different from the process of putting a wedding dress on and wearing it.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like it's all for show, and I think that so, and I'm only using weddings as an example, but like you can really like, spend months, years planning a wedding, a lifetime planning a wedding, and it can only, I guess it can go perfectly, I suppose, but it can only really be a slightly anticlimactic event.
Yeah.
For the people actually doing it, because really it's about the wedding, isn't it? And in a way, so I have birthday parties, or I used to have birthday parties in the old days when you could have people. One of my favourite things to do, I love people, but I'm socially insecure and awkward. So one of the things I would do at a birthday party is I would invite people over and I'd cook. And people are sort of like mingling and chatting. And I had an open plan living area. So you could cook in plain sight of everyone. Everyone could see you.
Yeah.
But you were busy, so no one talked to you. So it was perfect. You were there.
Yeah.
But everyone left you alone. And then you served all the food and everyone ate it. And everyone said, oh, this food's delicious. And you get all of that.
Yeah.
But really, it's for other people.
Yeah.
And I think that whatever my lovely time would be something that was kind of like, involved other people.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, but not too much. So you want to be sort of, there's people that you love around you, but you're not necessarily the centre of attention. You don't have to.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily like a selfless thing, like, I didn't enjoy that at all, but everyone else did, so I'm proud.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like the AC/DC thing, I organised it and I got all of these different groups of people together, and at the end of the day, you could stand back like a proud father or mother and go, oh look, everyone's enjoyed themselves, everyone has had a good day.
Yeah.
And I've not like I'm taking the credit, but I'm responsible for that. I think I beat myself up a lot. So if you're going to beat yourself up a lot for stuff, and I don't think I'm irrational about it. I think I beat myself up about stuff that I deserve to be beaten up about. But on the flip side, if you're going to do that, then you have to sort of like allow yourself the successes and the compliments when you've earned them as well. And so to like do something for other people and for yourself, I tell you what it is. It's rare to organise something and enjoy it as much as the people that you've organised it for.
Definitely.
So when that happens, and it's a perfect storm of things like, ironically, weather, you know, it's it's like, and I don't think you can plan it. I think that if you go into a day thinking this is going to be a perfect day, you'll find something that, if you accidentally stumble into something that is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, maybe. So what? I guess this undermines the entire podcast. But you can't plan a perfect day then.
Well, you know, it's like that award ceremony. It was like, okay, I had to get nominated for an award, and I'm not like saying I have to get nominated for an award to be happy.
Well, it's sort of like that's what you're saying.
But you know, you have to. There's this event that's going on. You get invited to, and you're just to get. And it's like you could take anyone. So I took my mum, and then and I think that would have been a great day. And then you have the food comes out, and you're like, oh my god! And also, it's nice that it's in the day. It's not an evening thing. You know, and so because you know, I love going to a thing and then coming out and it's still daylight.
Yes.
So you know, it's kind of like so. Then the food came out. It's brilliant, and then you get not just nominated, but you win, and that's amazing. And then all of these, your mum meets all these people, and that's great. And then everyone patting her on the back, and you know, that's great. And then you know, it culminates in at the end of the day, you know, my family and loved ones around a table in a empty restaurant
with vouchers
in Covent Garden, and you go, this is that is the best moment of the day, really, of a day that escalated, and then it ended in this very sort of like small intimate moment. It was like it was great, and we didn't plan that. It just sort of like came together as it was happening, and you go, that's brilliant. Okay, but cut the bullshit.
No, well, you know, maybe you've had the perfect day.
No, right now, living or dead, any time in history,
anything you want.
Me, right, during the reign of Caligula,
Yeah, and just if anyone doesn't know what...
Having a celebrity gangbang with the Chuckle Brothers. Is this the sort of thing that this show is? Because Caligula let anything happen.
What is Caligula?
I'm in the middle. They're saying to me, to you, I'm not like... I'm, you know, back to what we were saying about planning an event with your family and loved ones. I hadn't planned to be the you know, the ladder.
Is one of the Chuckle Brothers still dead in this scenario?
No.
They're both alive. Okay.
But they're both Barry.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm thinking off the top of my head here. I'm not great at improvising. It's been said before. It's never been said before. So what are we doing? Okay, so ask me the questions and I'll answer them.
Where are you going to be? You can have multiple locations, but let's start the day. You wake up.
Okay, so I wake up. I think where is a bit too specific. I don't know.
You don't know where?
I don't know where.
It doesn't have to be a geographical location.
I tell you when.
Go on.
It'll be about 10:30 a.m.
Nice.
There'll be some sort. It'll be hot.
Outside.
Excuse me, I've just eaten a pepperami. I'll be eating pepperami.
Is it hot outside or is it hot in the room?
It's hot outside, but it's sort of in the morning shade.
Nice.
You know when you go abroad and you get that fat grass?
Yeah.
You know, where it's like it's not like grass that you get on your you know, mum and dad's lawn.
Yeah.
It's like fat Portuguese grass or Florida grass.
It's talking about weed.
No, like a lawn. Maybe there's some sort of lizard or something. Right, so you're in bed, and there's like a screen door, like you know, slidey glass doors.
Yeah.
Overlooks a garden that is in the shade and it's hot.
Nice.
And then Paul and Barry Chuckle turn up
No.
with a time machine. And they say, what do you know about Roman emperors?
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
No. It's but so you're already, and you wake up and you're kind of like, and you're feeling kind of like a little bit disorientated.
Yeah.
You're not really sure exactly, it's like a holiday or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you're on a boat.
Oh, yeah.
On a boat.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And you're in a bed and you're looking out the window and you can just see the ocean and maybe some other boats. But the world is passing you by while you're in a bed. And you can just, which is sort of like, I've had one of those holidays. It's just like when you go on, ask me some more questions. So it's sunny. I don't know where we are yet.
That's all right. You don't have to.
I know what the grass looks like.
Yeah. Even though you're on a boat.
But I might be on a boat.
Yeah. Okay. But you've got. I can.
Maybe I can do
picture
the boat
the feeling
later.
of it. Oh.
And a lovely time doesn't have to be like limited to one day, does it? It could be like a whole fortnight.
The premise of the podcast, Nick, is actually how a comedian would spend their perfect day. But if you want to stretch that to a fortnight, I'm not going to stop you. I will not stop you.
Well, I think I'm going to do a fortnight.
All right. All right. You do a fortnight.
Okay. Well, it might not. I don't know. Right. Okay. Carry on.
Okay. So, what sort of activities would you be doing?
Few activities. I think. Okay. In an imaginary wonderful world.
Yeah.
With no repercussions and consequences.
Yeah.
I would love. I would love to sit around with some people I haven't seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Different groups of people, not loads. Maybe about 7 people. Everyone gets on with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's enjoying each other's company. Maybe there's some sort of food, like an early maybe barbecue, a midday-ish type thing. Not later than that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to eat lunch and then still be full at dinner time.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy 2 meals.
Yeah.
3 if at a push, but I think 3 is too many. Maybe I'd be cooking. I'd like to start early. I'd like to get a load of ingredients from the supermarket. And I've got some friends and family, loved ones. They're around and I'm cooking for them.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is getting on. I am... I think everyone is sort of like having... Maybe there's a body of water nearby. If we're on a boat, that's a given. If we're in a garden, there'd be like a swimming pool or an ocean at the end of the garden.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know. And there's some sort of cooking. Like the light. I'm big on lighting. So like the lighting that you get in a some sort of kitchen with slide doors that lead out to a garden, and the kitchen is sort of dark because of the way the sun is.
Yeah.
So it's dark and cool in the kitchen.
Yes. Yeah.
That sort of lighting.
Yeah.
And then you go out into the garden and there's loads of shade, but there's also some sunny areas. So that's what you'd start with. Maybe you'd have a couple of drinks. Yeah, that's how you'd start the day, I think.
That sounds
Wake
lovely.
up in a very tranquil kind of like bed, and you'd walk out, exit into some sort of garden, go around the house, you'd start cooking, people would arrive, they'd all sit in the garden, everyone would be drinking, chatting, having a nice time. And then you go, oh God, we better make a move because we've got to get to that gig. And then everyone gets up and they go to some sort of
event.
Not comedy, for the love of God.
Are we talking like
not comedy?
an Alice Cooper? event?
I always feel such a tremendous amount of pressure when I take people to see Alice Cooper. In a way, I know that I'm the only person that really appreciates it on the level that... Do you know what I mean? It's like I've got people that are into music, and you go, I don't even know if it works as a music event, because it's like the thing about Alice Cooper that's quite unusual is that he's really great at albums.
Yeah.
And he's got a few singles, but whenever you tell anyone that you like Alice Cooper, the first thing they say is they go, "Oh yeah, School's Out," and you go, "Yeah, from 1972, School's Out."
Yeah.
But he's released 40 albums since then.
Right.
And the other one is they go, "Oh yeah, Poison," and you go, "Yeah, from 1988." Yeah. So the School's Out and Poison, and they're the only songs that anyone ever references. You go, "Yeah, sure." So he's got a few singles, but his albums are like. So when you're going to see him live, there'll be like an album track, which you go, I don't even know if this really works as music. And, you know, you're sat with a group of people and they're all looking kind of like bewildered, horrified, just confused. And you're like, oh, and then you've got all that pressure on the fact that, oh, are they enjoying it? And then you're looking around going, this bit's good. And and then you feel like you're shepherding people into enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw Alice Cooper, it was 2000. I went to see the Brutally Live tour, the Brutal Planet tour. First time I'd seen him, almost the best show that I'd seen him do, because there was something like 7 album tracks off of it. Normally he'll do 1 album track off the latest album, and it'll all be like greatest hits. So it's almost the same show every time you see it. But with the Brutal Planet show that I saw, he did like 7 album tracks, and the whole show was designed around the new album. So it was like this futuristic kind of cyberpunk setting with and there was like this half robot that had been cyborg guy that was kept in this box, and he came out to warn the audience at the beginning that his evil overlord Alice Cooper was coming to get him. And then Alice Cooper came out, and it was like, oh my god, it was like the absolute best. And I went with this girl that I liked at uni, and I was watching it, and it was sort of like, it was so overblown. It was like seeing Spinal Tap live.
Yeah.
You know, but it was incredible, and I was like, I just had this huge grin on my face, and I turned around to this girl that I was with, and she just looked absolutely fucking miserable, and then she made us leave before the encore, where he does School's Out. You know, so we didn't seem to do School's Out, so she goes, let's go and beat the crowds. And so it was in Hammersmith, at the Hammersmith Apollo.
Right.
And so we got up and we went onto the trains, and we waited for the train. And the amount of time it took for the train to arrive, the rest of the audience had cleared out by then. And so it was like, we could have watched the fucking encore. And it was like, you draw a line in the sand that day, and you go, it's her or Alice Cooper. And you go, it's Alice Cooper, isn't it? He's won. Like, if you can't enjoy that, you don't even need to enjoy the music. It's just the spectacle. If you can't enjoy this ridiculous show, where there were all these like middle-aged guys that were waiting for the show to start, and they were like, come on, Alice, do you think he's going to do it? Oh, come on, Alice. They were like so excited, and you're kind of like going, I thought that sort of thing would be terrifying. I thought it would be all goths that were drinking blood, and it would be like, I thought I was terrified about going, because I was quite like mainstreamy. And I went to this, and everyone was so like just normal people that had waited for like 8 months to see this show.
Yeah.
So excited. It's my first Alice Cooper gig, and you go, oh. And it was like almost like the first gig that I went to without by myself. It was my money. I bought the ticket, and I'd been to other gigs with like family and my sister and stuff like that. This was like, no, this is what I like, and I'm going to go and see this. And so like seeing something that is like, but the reason why the AC/DC thing was good is because AC/DC play rock and roll. It's not like a niche thing.
Yeah, it's very inclusive.
It's
isn't
as broad as you can really get.
Yeah.
And everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's like, do you like rhythmic beats and wiggling your hips.
Yeah.
Well, AC/DC is a band for you. But, you know, Alice Cooper's a little bit more... Do you like obscure album tracks and a man getting his head cut off on stage? Not really. Okay, well then this is... So I think, you know, if you have... I went to see... Tina Turner in 1996 at Wembley Stadium, and that's like one of my all-time favourite.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like broad appeal, you know. So I think it would be something like that.
Something broader, so that there's no pressure on you. It's like when you put a YouTube video on at someone's house, when you're like, oh, I watch this. You watch this, it's so funny. And then you just sit there the entire time and you can't enjoy the video because all you're doing is thinking, why have I put this on? They're not going to like it. And then you're sort of like trying not to stare at them, but you want to clock their reaction. And then they're like, yeah, no, I guess that is funny. And you're like, oh, no, I've ruined that.
Yeah. Yeah, or when you're showing someone your favourite film, or one of your favourite films, and they're fucking around on their phone within the first 5 minutes, and you're like, you don't want to be like a drama queen, and be like, well, let's just switch it off and watch it another day, or forget about it. Actually, do you know what this was about? You know, it's personal, and it's sort of like, you go, oh, there's so much of me that's invested in this film.
Yeah.
Or, do you know what I mean? Or this thing. That you're kind of like, you're not even enjoying it. I've seen this 30 times. We're not watching it for my fucking benefit. This is for you. This is meant to be good for you.
Is this a personal attack?
No. It's just a tale as old as time. I've seen it 1,000 times before. And I've just hit my breaking point. So you're kind of like, it's part of you.
Yeah.
You know, you've absorbed it. It's part of you. It's like, you know, it's part of you. If someone doesn't like that, it's like, well, then you don't like me. Because I've devoted my life to this, you know. Yeah. I always think fandom is sort of like looking for the remote control, right? Everyone's like, oh, have you heard this latest album from this latest band that's just come out? And you go, no. Like, as soon as I found Alice Cooper, I stopped looking.
Oh, that's
if you've lost your remote control and you find it, you don't keep looking for the remote control. It's like, I found Alice Cooper and I was like, no, I don't need to like anything else. This is it. As long as he keeps making music, I just keep buying it, right? And and I love it. And I'll keep going to see him do the same show night after night.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness. Found it. That's it. I've overseen it now. So maybe like my perfect day would be waking up, nice weather, great people, lovely food, then go to some sort of music event. Wow, imagine seeing Dolly Parton in
oh my god,
in an open air arena, in great weather, you know, just as the sun goes down. All right, but there's enough time in the day to do something else.
Yeah.
And then you go out for dinner, or you
with vouchers.
You have drinks.
Yeah.
You get given an award that's a public vote, which is even better because it's not just your peers who will turn on you at some point. you know, they'll give you the awards, but when you've had too many, that's when they'll stab you in the back. It's not like that. It's the general public who, you know, have got a proven track record of being there for you and will always be there for you, no matter what.
Because to some people, they've found their remote, and that's you.
Well, that's.
I mean, they're wrong, obviously, but
that's for the history books. It's not for me to say that, you know, I am the greatest comedian of my or any generation. It's for others to say that.
Well, we could do a public vote on it.
Let's not do that. I think a public vote would be tacky.
I'm saying on your perfect day,
right.
And you didn't even know about the award, and then someone just comes up and be like, "Oh, Nick, just so you know, this is for you," and they present a beautiful, beautiful award. And what's this for? Sorry. Well, the public have got together and they've voted you the best, most greatest comedian of all time.
Yeah. Now I'm hearing this out loud.
Yeah.
It sounds awful. I don't want this to be any part of the...
Okay,
I don't want
right,
to...
cancel the award.
It's not the...
Get rid of the
Yeah, I
award.
don't think that you need to be singled out as the greatest. But what I did like, I went to a festival once and I bought... There was this tiny little pink Alice Cooper t-shirt. It was a ladies' t-shirt, skinny fit ladies' t-shirt with Alice Cooper eyes over the breasts.
Yes.
And I bought it because it was such a cool t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I was with a group of friends and they said, put it on. And I put it on. And I had a friend that was working PR. And this was like years. This was before I did comedy, before I did...
Yeah.
I was working in a pub and I took the day off the pub to go to this at Monsters of Rock in Milton Keynes Bowl. I think Journey played Thunder, who have gone on to meet, and I know Luke from Thunder. We went to see Thunder. Ted Nugent, not so great. He's got 2 songs. He's got one called Wango Tango, and the other one called Wang Dang, Sweet Poontang, and this is a professional artist who's got Wang twice. In his, you go, okay, cool. Anyway, so Ted Nugent, but it was like 80s, 90s classic rock, and Alice Cooper was on, and then Deep Purple were closing. And
I love Deep Purple.
it was like, and Alice Cooper was on the perfect night, perfect time because he was on Penultimate.
Yeah.
And then anyway, so I was wearing this t-shirt, and I went to the bar. And everyone from the bar came over to say hello to me just because I was wearing this t-shirt.
Really?
I got free drink. I went into the crowd.
What?
There were people in the crowd. Everyone was like patting me on the back, going, "All right," and they would give me free drink. Like,
What?
and you're just there, and you're like, my mate who was backstage doing PR, he came out and he goes, "Is it you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're the one wearing the t-shirt. Everyone's backstage talking about the guy wearing the t-shirt." And you go, it's like, it was mental. And it was kind of like, it's not that you're the centre of attention. It's just the fact that you did something that was stupid or silly or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, you're at a heavy metal festival. It could go either way, right? Everyone could be like moody and bumping into each other. Which if it was raining, I went to Sonosphere one year. It was raining. It's the most miserable experience.
Really?
I can't remember who was on, but whoever was on really affected the mood. Maybe it was Marilyn Manson or someone that was on like the Sunday,
right?
And it really affected the mood of the entire festival because everyone had gone for like the, and I think that. It wasn't that. It was sunny. It was beautiful. We were all getting sunburnt, and people saw you, and they lit up.
Yeah.
You're not overshadowing the bands. You're not overshadowing everyone. But to have like a positive impact on people's lives was great. And then at the end of it, we were all sunburnt. There's a whole group of you. There's like thousands and thousands of people at this festival. And then at the end of it, Deep Purple came on. We'd seen Alice Cooper, which is why we went. And all of these other bands that were on throughout the day.
Yeah.
Deep Purple came on, and we were like, "Let's go," and we left. And like Deep Purple were playing, and we walked through the crowd, and we got to the car, and then, however, there was like 4 of us.
Yeah.
We got in the car. We drove back to St Albans. We went to the pub where me and the other guy that I was with worked, and we sat there, sunburnt, drinking, just talking about what an amazing day we all had. I was with 2 of my friends from university, or one of my friends from university, one of my friends from the pub that I worked in. And you just like go, that's a perfect day.
Yeah.
And it's not like something that you can orchestrate or choose. But I think definitely it's not about... It's about... I guess what I liked most about that award ceremony before was that it was... I got to share it with my mum.
Yeah.
And I think that, you're lucky if you get that experience.
Yeah.
Like, you're lucky.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you go into comedy and your parents accept the fact that you're a comedian. And they accept the fact that... I know loads of comedians that would never let their family come and see them.
Yeah.
I started in theatre and plays, and my parents always used to come to see school plays and stuff, and were very supportive. And so it was like a natural progression for them to come and see stand-up.
Yeah.
And I've said anything that I've said in front of other people, I've said in front of my parents. So I'm always kind of like, I'm not a bad person. I just shout and swear a lot. So I'm always kind of like fine about that. So to be able to share all of that with, your parents is...
Oh, God, definitely. And I think giving them an experience that they wouldn't have feels real. I haven't had it like you, but even getting my parents...
Yet.
Well...
Come on.
All right, sure. But I was going to say, my parents came up to Edinburgh to the awards do, and that felt so cool because my mum would like recognise Stephen Fry, and it's like, she's like, and it just sort of like cements that you're not mad. Yeah, it's like, no, I know what I do is a bit odd, but like it's going all right, I promise. And then when you're like, look, that's Stephen Fry saying my name on stage, like, and it was so nice. But like, I remember looking around the ceremony, and it was free champagne, so I remember like losing my mum and dad, and I was like, where are they? I see my dad, and he's like just stood, just necking these champagnes just off a tray. And then I look and I see my mum, and she's putting, because there was some free pastries, like lovely pastries. She's just like wrapping them up in like serviettes and putting them in her handbag. I've got my dress on backwards, and I didn't realise until bloody labels stuck out right under my chin. And it's like, oh, we're not meant to be here, are we? But like, we are. And it's just like, oh, God, what a family.
But that's it, isn't it? It's kind of like, it's not like, it's that I think that is, I don't think that all the success that I have had has been one bit at a time. It's not like, here is a wedge of...
Yeah.
It's not like, now you're successful. It's like, here is an event that you've been invited to, and then you go away and you work on something else, and then you get randomly... You don't do it for those things. So I always take everything with a pinch of salt. I don't get invited to as many events as I used to, right? And it's kind of like, so I've always taken it with a pinch of salt. It's not what I'm in it for. It's not, So you look at it as like an oddity. I've been to I went to a very famous comedian's house once, and I saw other comedians that had started after me that were also there, like 2 or 3 other comedians that were there, and they walked around this comedian's house, and there were ridiculous celebrities there, right? And when I got there, I'd just missed Elton John and Hugh Grant.
Oh my God!
Like, so it's ridiculous.
What?
Ridiculous celebrities were there, and I think I entered. I know I've not been invited since. It was like 7 or 8 years ago that I went to this house, and I enjoyed every single fucking second of it as it happened.
Yeah.
But I looked at these other comedians that had started out after me, and or maybe about the same time as me.
Yeah.
And they were like, they belonged, right? Like, they just took to it, and they were just like, yeah, and they're there talking to Heston Blumenthal or whoever it is, right?
God.
Gina DeCampo's in the other room. Do you know what I mean? It's just what is this?
Yeah.
And I'm there enjoying it, but I'm absolutely enjoying it from an outsider's point of view, going, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
And I'm even looking around at people going, what the fuck am I doing here? And the reason and it's kind of like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you go into these things with the what the fuck am I doing here attitude, other people will go, oh yeah, what the fuck are you doing here? So if you go to those things, you've got to act like you were built for it. This is like, so I don't know. So those are you take them with a pinch of salt. So it's like, and I think you enjoy them more because you're like an alien.
God, of course you do.
Observing it from like an alien planet, and you're like going, this is bonkers.
Yeah.
And you're just looking around at everything.
I think you do enjoy it more. Me and Chris, who is in the Delightful Sausage with me, Chris always says that when we turn up to places with like cool comedians, we have real competition winner energy. Like, we're really like, really excited to be there, and we'll be like asking for pictures and stuff, which is the thing that you should absolutely not do, because you're sort of going up to someone going, I am not as good as you, oh my god, I'm nowhere near as good as you, but you might be on the same bill together or whatever, and I think you're meant to be like cool about it, but we're just not. And we were so awkward around Harry Hill, who was so lovely.
Yeah, right.
But we were so awkward because we were like, we want to get a picture, but we're too scared to ask him, and we was just sort of like hovering. Everyone else on the gig was like super cool, and we were just like hovering, and then he had to come up to us and be like, do you want a picture? And we were like, yes, please, is that all right? Oh my god, thank you so much. and then we got to do his show, and it was like, oh, that's good, because we really thought like, oh, he's never going to want us to do his show, because we have exposed completely and utterly what losers we are.
Yes.
But I think we enjoyed the whole experience more because we were just like, oh my god, look, oh my god, oh, this is brilliant at everything.
Yes, but I do certainly think that there is a middle ground.
Yeah, sure.
But it's just a kind of like. But I think it's a lot to do with just who you are, what you want out of life, and I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. I think that, you know, I'm not like saying that me just taking everything with a pinch of salt was better than people that really embrace it and love it. Just do whatever makes you happy. But like, I just think I think I'm great. I'm grateful that I have sort of like I'm not an outsider sort of like mentality to stuff.
Yeah.
Because it means that I've never, you know, at school. I moved schools when I was young and I never really fit in, and it's just kind of like, and I've never fit in anywhere. And you have like these moments, brief moments, where people don't really know you, so you're accepted by the group, and then they get to know you, and then you're expelled again. And it's just kind of like, you know, this guy's fucking odd. You know, but I like the fact that, you know, you can go to like a music festival and just it's like, I don't know how other people that I never interacted with on the other side of the field, I don't know what their day was like, but it seemed to me that we were such like a good spirited little bunch of people. Every time we bumped into anyone, you know, you would have like a friendly interaction which fanned the flames of your own enjoyment, and you passed it on. You know, it was like good vibes, and you're like passing it on. And you know, I wore a t-shirt to make my mates laugh, and then all of a sudden we're getting all this free drink, and it's just sort of like, it's sort of, and you can't plan that. So all I'm saying is, you know, if this is the season 1 finale, you should probably this is what I'm going to say, either consider a format change, or consider stop calling it season 1 and just say it was a limited series.
He's such a cheeky boy. So cheeky.
It wouldn't be the first time I've ended a thing. I ended BBC 3, let's not forget.
Hey, it's back.
It's back, baby.
It's back. It's back, baby. Oh my god. All right, so to wrap this up, your perfect day is a fortnight.
I'll be listening to that Lou Reed song, but the one they did with Bono, like the cover that they did, Perfect Day. The one about doing heroin in a zoo. Yeah. I'd be listening to that, but it's the one where Bono does it.
So is that your full answer?
You know, it's such a perfect day. And then, you know, when Bono kicks in, and tonight, thank God it's them instead of you. That song.
Yeah, it's a good one, that.
Oh, it's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with all you guys.
Yeah, that was good.
Some of my favourite experiences have been when I've been working a shift at the pub, or when I used to work PR, and I used to do like red carpet events, and I met all of my heroes, like all my music heroes. In like one night, Steven Tyler, Guns N' Roses and Alice Cooper and Status Quo when they were both still alive, and like, you know, so it's sort of like you kind of like, oh God, it's got nothing to do with this. I was working, getting a job, and then going out and celebrating it, and or whatever. You know, it's not like those things, and I think that all of my best moments have been unpredictable, and all of the times when you've kind of like planned it to the nth degree is and the days that are all about you, like birthdays and stuff like that. I think the reason why most people, or a lot of people, most people that I know struggle with birthdays is because it's a day that's all about you. And I think as a comedian, you're expected to make everything about you. And I appreciate I've just talked over you, and B, I've been talking for 2 hours now, almost non-stop, with little to no prompting. It's just been kind of like, you know, window dressing, in a sense. You have to be involved, it's your show. But really, you nudged me and I talked.
I've been getting on with some admin. This has been very productive for me.
Yes, but I think that most I think most comedians kind of. I think as a comedian, people expect you to sort of like want to make everything about you, but in actual fact, I think it's when you're interacting with people in a positive way, and it has like this knock-on effect. You know.
So sum that up in a perfect day for me, Nick, please. Please.
Right.
In 10 to 15 seconds.
So 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah.
I guess my lovely time, my perfect day will be not a specific thing, but it will be a state of mind that I reach where I am open to accepting all variants of, you know, all of chaos theory, all of like the different things that can happen, and just taking everything in my stride with the right group of people, where it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter about missing a car, and it doesn't matter about, you know, not getting enough drinks at the bar and the gig about to start. It doesn't matter about. It's when you kind of like roll with the punches and accept that this is the day, and then great things happen. I think when you don't overthink things.
So you're saying,
it's a state
if
of
I'm
mind.
right, yeah, it's a lovely time is a state of mind.
I guess, and this is quite philosophical, I suppose. Any time can be a lovely time, depending on how you choose to approach it. No, maybe not maybe not everything, but
most things, I think.
But I think most everyday things, you have a choice of whether to take them. That are in your control. You know, sometimes there are genuine, evil, shitty cunts that fuck your life up. Right, especially in this industry, but
fuck's sake. Fucking hell.
What I'm saying is stuff within your control.
You're listening to A Lovely Time.
Well, it better be a lovely time, otherwise it's a waste of my time. What I'm saying is you've got a choice most everyday things, and you can either be a very negative person, and I'm guilty of that, obviously, you know, we all are, but I think that there are those moments that hit you just the right angle where you kind of like go, I'm going to accept everything that's sort of happening today, just take it in my stride and enjoy it. And then sometimes, you know, you'll wake up and you'll be on good form conversationally. Not today's been an absolute dog shit, but sometimes the conversation you'll be on really great form, and then you'll have the right combination of people, and it's not about what you do. You could sit in your garden, you could sit in your living room, you could, you know,
yeah,
you could be trapped in a car, you could be on a coach, you could be on holiday, you could be anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing, if you have the right frame of mind to appreciate it as it's happening and to roll with the punches, then I think any time can be a lovely time.
There we go. That's beautiful.
I really didn't want to do this, and this has turned out to be a lovely time.
Aww.
Because I've saved it for myself, in my head, I've been kind of like going, come on, Nick, just enjoy it. And slowly but surely, I came around to that way of thinking, and I've made the most out of it.
Oh my God.
No, it's great.
Oh my God.
It's been great just hanging out, hasn't it?
Yeah, it makes a change.
You've been listening to A Lovely Time, hosted by Amy Gledhill. I've been Nick Helm, and well, you do that.
Well, no, that was good. You can do series 2 when it's called "What's the vaguest way to answer a very simple question?"
It's not simple, is it? It's fucking
It's not.
impossible.
It's not. I know.
It's
I know.
fucking
You've done
hard.
really well there. Right. And that's the end of the questions of the podcast of A Lovely Time, I guess. Thanks for doing it.
That's all right. It's been an honour. I'll be interested to see what the final result is.
I know, and John's only got about an hour to cut this down, so good luck, John.
Good night.
Good night. Bye. And there we have it. There we have it. The last episode of the series is in the bank. And what an episode. What an insight. What a lovely time. I've had such a good time doing this podcast, and that was one of my favourites. It was actually quite philosophical, wasn't it? Quite philosophical. We talked about family, we talked about food and fat grass. Once again, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. If you want to give us a little review on iTunes, I think that would be spectacular. What a kind thing to do, as long as it's good. Or you can give us 5 stars and slag us off. The ball's in your court. We will be back very soon with another series. We've got our live show in Manchester. They'll still be happening. And we've already got guests confirmed for the next series. So watch this lovely space. Follow us on Twitter at A Lovely Time. We have a website where you can find out what's going on, what is going on. And the Instagram, where we put up little clips of this and of our live shows. And we love it when you chat to us, so please keep doing that. It's dead nice. And you can tell us what your lovely time is. And, well, we're having a break now, so we probably won't do anything with it. But, God, it'd be good to know. Hope you're all well. Thank you so much for listening. Bye!
This podcast is made by A Lovely Time Productions and hosted by Amy Gledhill, with music by Jack Evans.
Oh, what a lovely time.